Well, Thunder fans, after 82 regular season games, 3 playoff rounds, and 6 finals matchups, it all comes down to one winner-take-all. Game 7 of the NBA Finals, where we will see a champion crowned on the floor at the Paycom Center tomorrow night. I know Thunder fans are hoping that is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and this series that the Thunder led 3-2 before they made the Game 6 trip to Indy doesn't result in heartbreak that I would imagine would last pretty much an eternity or until the Thunder actually do win a championship. Along with Josh Callaway, I am Colby Daniels. I'm so glad that we have officially cleared the Game 6 hurdle, and we are no longer, I think, in the digestion process of Game 6. It is in the rear view. We are completely done with Game 6, other than maybe referencing it a few times as we talk about Game 7. But, Josh, it is now championship or bust, 48 minutes to decide the NBA champion between the Thunder and Pacers. Both teams will play with the same level of urgency. Both teams have a championship on the line. Both teams' season is on the line. It doesn't get any better and bigger than this. Oklahoma City will be center stage and have a global spotlight at 7 p.m. tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's almost hard to appreciate the weight of it, really. It's one game for everything. I mean, obviously, you get this in other sports, football or like March Madness, where it's one game, it's one and done. But NBA, it's series-based. You always think of things in terms of series, but, that's out the window now, right? Like, they've each won 3. It's 48 minutes to decide everything. I go back to what SGA said after Game 6, where he said, you win it, you get everything. You lose it, you get nothing, right? And that's kind of just the reality of it. I mean, it's been championship or bust for this Thunder team pretty much all year long. Certainly once the postseason got here and they were the 1 seed, the historic year they had, this was always the goal, to win the whole thing. And they're one game from doing it. It will be extremely painful if they don't, especially after the 3-2 lead and, the year they've had. It's, again, almost hard to really even kind of fathom just how huge it is. One game for an NBA championship. It'll be a scene unlike any other, I'm sure, at the Paycom Center on Sunday night, and I can't wait to get there. I think the wait for this game is taking forever for everyone in Oklahoma City right now, but it'll be an absolute scene, and who knows? Best team, well, we'll see. Best team wins, and we'll find out on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Thunder fan, you want this to happen, and there is no, this is a young team, they're going to have plenty of opportunities, right? Oklahoma City was in that situation years before, and they lost to the Heat with this young core of Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, and everybody at that point, I remember saying, this is the first of many finals appearances. They'll be fine. They're at some point going to be back here and probably multiple times, win some titles. And they never got back, right? You're never guaranteed to have, regardless of how talented you are, how young you are, how long you contractually have guys on your team, it's not a guarantee that you're going to have your entire roster healthy like this Thunder team does. Relatively healthy in terms of just availability, but you have your entire available roster healthy and ready to go in a winner-take-all scenario to win an NBA championship, and you just don't know how many opportunities those things, those are, how many opportunities you will have where everything lines up and everybody's available and you have it on your home floor. And look, I think the Pacers are a really good team, but you're also not facing this juggernaut that looks like an insurmountable mountain. That was kind of the feel, I think, of the Miami Heat maybe back in 2012. this is a really good Pacers team, but the Thunder are more talented than this Pacers team. I think the Pacers have a little bit of what the Thunder have, where they're such a great team. It's a team concept, and they all play together and believe in each other, and that makes up for a talent gap more often than not, and we've seen that around the NBA. Teams that have sort of adopted that instead of having hero ball have really made strides, I think, in this new era of the NBA. But if the Thunder can match, I think, all of those things that Indiana's doing, the urgency, the physicality, the teamwork, and we heard Jalen Williams say in the postgame that they kind of lost trust in each other. If they can just do all the same things that the Pacers do, talent, I think, wins out. And I also think they have the best 2 players in this series, which are Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams. The reality of this series is we are now at Game 7, but if you look at the 3 games played in OKC, the Thunder have been much better over 98% of those 3 games in OKC. I know Indiana was much better over 98% of the games at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, but Game 7 is in OKC, and minus the run in Game 5 that the Pacers made, I guess, to make it a close game in the fourth, and then the run they made at the end of the fourth in game 1. I mean, the Thunder have clearly, by a large margin, been much better. So why should tomorrow be any different? Well, that'll just, I think, be totally dependent on the Thunder and whether or not they let nerves set in, or they haven't been able to move past game 6 like they've been able to move past any other adversity they faced all year long.
Yeah, I mean, logically, if you're the Thunder, you should feel good. And if you're a Thunder fan or a casual NBA fan, I would think that you think the Thunder are in a pretty good spot. The only, and it's not even a knock or anything, but the X factor is the fact that it is a game 7, right? And you never know what can happen in one game. It's a one-game sample size, right? I mean, anybody in the NBA could beat anyone in one singular game, right? So we'll see what happens. Like you said, to your point earlier, you don't know. I mean, I think we both are in agreement, everyone in agreement, that the Thunder are set up certainly to be in the mix for years and years. But, how many times are you going to get this spot where you have a game 7 at home where you're clearly the favorite coming into the series? You had the year you had, like you said, healthy. Thunder fans know that better than anyone. I mean, when they went in 2012, obviously that was it for that group because they traded James Harden, but also they were never really healthy again until 2016. Right. It was always one guy missing. Ross is beat up, KD's beat up, Ibaka, whatever it was. It took forever for them to just finally be whole again to have another shot. So you definitely, you want to take advantage of the opportunity while it's there. It's all set up for the Thunder. There's really no excuse to not win this. And so we'll see what happens. The pressure of it is, again, it's hard to really even fully put into words, into context, or to appreciate it because it is just so huge. It's everything you work for all year long in a 48-minute basketball game. It's going to be something on Sunday.
They've been phenomenal at dealing with adversity, as we've talked about so many times. They only lost back-to-back games twice for the entire regular season. Yep. They have not lost back-to-back games this postseason. In fact, every time they have lost a game, they've played arguably one of their best games the next game in this postseason run. So they've been terrific at dealing with adversity. The question is not can they deal with adversity. I think it's more about maybe can you deal with pressure, because we know when they're backed against the wall, they're able to answer, but are they able to answer when the pressure is on them to ultimately achieve the goal that they set out to achieve? I'm excited for what tomorrow's going to bring, but we had media day today, Game 7 media day. We'll get into that in a second, but first let's hear a couple clips from SGA talking on adversity.
I think this group has done a really good job of learning the lessons through its adversity, and I think it's why we've gotten here, because we've taken them and gotten better from them and gotten better on the other side of them. And if we want to achieve our dream, we'll have to continue to do the same thing.
Similar to what he said in the past when they got blown out against Minnesota, when they were coming back home for Game 7 against Denver. I think he said similar words after the Game 1 loss. So we've all heard those words or some version of that answer when they faced adversity. He was shortly after that, Josh, asked how do you guys come out tomorrow with, because you ask about adversity and then he kind of answers his way. He was directly asked, how do you come out with more urgency tomorrow for Game 7?
It has to be an emphasis, has to be at the top of our mind. It has to be all we care about. And above all, we just have to want to do it. We just have to have a sense of urgency in that part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't love we just have to want to do it. That's not just hearing that was ugh. I would have thought that was with a championship on the line in Game 6, you guys would have wanted to do it. But I did appreciate the fact that he said there's an emphasis on it. And the reality is human nature is when you aren't facing elimination, there's no way to dig as deep as if you are facing elimination, right? You can want to all you want, but subconsciously when you are actually backed in a corner, as opposed to mentally trying to trick yourself that you are, there's just a different gear that I think you are capable of reaching.
Yeah. It is vital, I think, and we'll probably get into this more in the pregame show, I would think, on Sunday, but just getting off to a good start and having that urgency from the get-go, because you mentioned it coming out of Game 6, and you were in Indianapolis, how that crowd was a little timid, a little on edge to start.
Yep.
I think the OKC faithful are going to. Obviously, we're fully expecting an all-time crowd on Sunday, but there will be a little bit of an uneasiness early, right? Because it's just, again, so huge. Everything's on the line here. Everything you've worked for all year. It comes down to one 48-minute basketball game. So getting up to a good start will be as important in this game as any game that you'll play all year. To get the crowd settled in, to feel like you're putting the pace or the pressure on Indiana early in the game. So yeah, having kind of that urgency. And I was trying to remember, obviously they blew out Denver in Game 7 at the Paycom Center, but that game didn't start off great. Like I remember Denver got off to like an okay first quarter. It was really the second quarter when the Thunder really kind of started to blow it open. Obviously, ended up winning by over 30 plus, whatever it ended up being. So finding a way though, good start, get everyone kind of settled in. You have to find a way to replicate that urgency because they didn't have that in Game 6 and it burned them. So It's a must-have tomorrow. Obviously, good start is vital.
Don't give the Pacers any positive momentum out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they already believe in themselves, but you want to put doubt in their minds early and not let them believe like we're
and get the crowd.
We're going to get rolling
complete
again.
Opposite for the crowd. Get the crowd believing like, oh, we got this. That's what you need.
SGA on Game 7.
Like really exciting opportunity. Like a dream come true. Like above all, I try to look at it as like a blessing and an opportunity, and then go out there and try to be the best version of myself. I think that's what we need to do. So we have to do across the board. Don't try to do anything spectacular. Don't try to do anything that you haven't done before, or be less than what you've been. Just be who you are and what got you here.
I absolutely love that answer. Be yourself. You don't have to be better or worse than you normally are, but if the Thunder, I think, just do what they do, they're going to be just fine. The good thing is, as we've talked about since the finale of Game 6, the silver lining to all of this, while everybody wanted the series to close in 6, is that Game 7 is at the Paycom Center, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander talked about just the value of home court advantage.
The crowd is amazing. You're ultimately, like, in your complete comfort zone. Like, the float of the day doesn't change. You're in your own bed. You have shoot around at your building. You eat your pregame meal from your chef or your whoever. So it's just like it's very comfortable. The whole float of the day, and then the crowds behind you, they give you energy, whether you're up or down or whatever's going on in the night. So it's it's an advantage. It's fun for sure.
And they will have that advantage tomorrow in Game 7.
For sure. I mean, even just, removing like the crowd impact, and the crowd does have an impact, but just like psychologically, the Thunder have been excellent at home, right? I mean, all year, but especially in the postseason. So just, even if that gives you a slight mental boost of like, we're really good here, even though it's still a basketball court, you know what I mean? It's still a basketball game. Yeah. Just that extra, you'll take it. I mean, anything you can get to get a little, like Shai said, in your comfort zone. We talked about how much better the bench has been at home. The crowd's going to be insane. And I also love what he said earlier about, embracing it. You have to find a way to be like, hey, man, kind of come back to a Chet set after Game 6. We got one game at home to win a championship. Like, it's in our control. Like, we're in the best spot in the league, right? We're one of 2 teams left playing, and we've got the game in our building. Like, you have to find a way to kind of flip the pressure of it and make it as almost like a, look at what we get to have. Like, it's all there for us to go get. If you can find a way to almost like trick your brain, it can really help a lot. And being at home, I mean, it makes a huge difference, massive difference.
19 Game 7s in the history of the NBA Finals. The home team is 15-4 in those 19 Game 7s. So take that for what it's worth. The last time there was a Game 7 was 2016. It's been a while. The road team actually won that one, so that kind of goes against the stat. But 15-4 are the home team. I mean, just to play in a Game 7 obviously is incredibly historic, and Jalen Williams just talked about being a part of history.
Yeah, it sucks. I probably can't appreciate it until I get the outcome I want. So it's cool, though. Somewhere down the line, win or lose, it'll be cool to have your name etched in history regardless of what's going on. So I think that's cool. But right now, like it's very difficult to look into that. But I'm also grateful for the opportunity. That's one thing I can say is like throughout the whole entire thing, you always have to like remain grateful for where you are because there's a lot of NBA players that'll trade their spot with me right now. So that's how I look at it. But as far as like being in history, like I want to be on the good side of that for sure.
To be on the good side of it, they've got to win Game 7. They've never been in an NBA Finals, much less a Finals Game 7. But J-Dub was asked what they learned from their Game 7 win over Denver in the second round of these playoffs.
The swings of a game, I feel like in a Game 7 feel so much louder than they do in any other game, except maybe apart from like an elimination game. I feel like tomorrow they'll feel a little different too, just because obviously it's the last game of the season. This is for the championship. So I think it's just what Game 7 taught me for Denver is just like the swings. Like 3 feels like you're down 10. You know what I mean? 1 feels like you're down 5. Like that's just like the swing of the game, and what's going on feels much larger. So it's just kind of about like honing in your emotion, like understanding the state of the game is big for Game 7.
There you go. It feels like a mountain essentially, right? Like that's kind of what he's describing is you've got a lot on your shoulders when things maybe swing either way.
Yeah, and I agree with everything it does. Everything gets magnified, and that's a bit cliche, but it's true. And that's why, I hope the Thunder, who have been guilty in this series of kind of lazy turnovers, looking at you, TJ McConnell, all the turnovers that he's managed to force, you got to find a way. I mean, every possession, every play, every free throw, everything. I mean, it's all ginormous in this type of spot. You have to find a way to keep the momentum on your side as much as you possibly can. It sounds like J-Dub knows that, but, they got to go do it, right? Because we've seen this team, as good as they've been, and they've been unbelievable, right? Best team in the league all year. They have these lapses at times that are a little head-scratching, whether it's a bad pass for a turnover or selling for threes too much has been something you and I have talked about for, just a 2 or 3 minute stretch. And that could be all it takes in a game like this. So they've got to find a way to be as locked in as possible start to finish. Because if they do that, they're really, really hard to beat, especially at home.
Maximum aggressiveness, I think, from start to finish.
Empty
regardless of whether you're up 18 or you're up 6 or you're up 25, like maximum aggressiveness. Don't start taking some of those possessions for granted that you can just, hoist a terrible 3, hoping that it's going to be like the gut punch to end the game in the third quarter. Like just keep being aggressive, I think, going to the bucket when you can. And, I think if they do all that, they're going to be just fine. This was a funny answer because J-Dub was asked, what are his memories, I guess, of the last time there was a Game 7, which was 2016, and he was like, I think he said like I was 15 years old or something. I don't know. He's like I was doing my own thing. I wasn't worried about that. But he did kind of start like talking about OKC and just what's happening right now toward the end of the answer. So I will play you that part.
I think it's really cool that I've had this experience like Oklahoma, where you're driving down the city and there's paintings of Thunder up, and like I'm walking to like Target and there's people face painted, and the game's not even today, and like you see the bars are full every game, and we're packing out the stadium while we're not here. Like that's a lot of the stuff that I'll really remember. That's a lot of the stuff I remember like during that run, like during that finals time.
So yeah, he was referencing like I don't remember a lot about the finals. I just remember the fanfare really around it, and he's certainly appreciating what the OKC fans have been like in terms of support for this team. One other from J-Dub before we hear from Mark Dagnall and wrap this up. He was asked from the Denver series in Game 7, like what was the feeling that you got from the OKC crowd?
It makes like the hair on your arms stand up a little bit. Like it's so like you're
Agreed.
Like, anxious going into it. This Game 7 is going to be completely different from the last one we played in. But from like a fan perspective, I can't imagine it won't be anything short of like incredibly loud. I am excited just to see like how much the city shows out, and like I don't know. Paycom will obviously have a very different energy than it's probably ever had. So I'm excited for that.
I think it's going to be iconic, Josh. Like I think my expectation, at least, and I hope I'm not setting the bar so high in my mind that when we're actually there tomorrow, I'm disappointed. I don't see how that would ever be possible, but in my mind, I just have this vision of the place absolutely rocking.
It should be. I mean, this is it. It's one game for everything, like we said. The crowds have been awesome throughout this entire run, but this is for the first time in Thunder history. a home game to win a championship. Like you've never had that before, right? All the teams between you and Larry O'Brien is a win at home, right? A win at home. And so, yeah, I would think that it'll be as good as really a sports crowd can be. Like literally, like I don't really know what more could set up. I mean, the Thunder fans have been so great in this entire postseason. It's Game 7 of the finals. I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know how he gets any better than what we should get on Sunday. And the team will likely feed off that. It's cool to hear a player kind of appreciate it in real time. Like, yeah, acknowledging like it's awesome. Like I get, hair stand up, goosebumps like that. That's cool to hear because you almost wonder, like, are they almost like so zoned in? Do they know like the insanity that they're in? And it sounds like Dub, he kind of is, maybe a little guilty of taking a second of being like, dang, this is nuts, which I like. I think that's cool.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, I think that's part of being present, right? Like you're still a human. Like you're not a cyborg to the point that you can just block everything out and 100% focus every aspect of your mental capacity on the game for the entirety of that game without ever having like one momentary second of, like, oh, look at the crowd or, like you're a human being. You're not a robot. You're not capable of that. I like hearing that answer, and I like hearing him talk about like, I've said goosebumps. He says hair on your arm stands up. Like that's the feeling when that place gets crazy, and that's why so many people, especially I think national media, when they've come here for the first time, they're like, "Wow, that was amazing," because it's just it's a different animal altogether. All right, before we give final thoughts, I did hear several interesting answers from Mark Dagnall. I'm only going to play one, but someone asked him the question, something along the lines of like, it's the little things in this series, the intangibles in this series. When one team has done all those little things in a game, that's kind of like swung the series back and forth, whether it's just like, getting an offensive rebound and giving your team an extra possession, or it's diving for a loose ball or the steals. Yeah. I mean, we've seen guys like Cason Wallace and Alex Caruso get steals, these just out of nowhere steals in this series. And we've seen TJ McConnell do it a lot, and Aaron Nesmith and, different players like that. But just all the little things that accumulate over a series, Mark Dagnall was asked about it and how much it factors in to this series, because both teams have been able to put that stuff together.
It's a contest of wills. I think the reason it's swung between the two teams is because these are two teams that have leaned on that heavily to get to this point. It's two teams where the whole is better than the sum of the parts. It's two teams that are highly competitive, two teams that play together. And so two teams that kind of rely on the same stuff for their success, that are squared off against each other. And so those things have defined the games of the series. I think both teams understand that. Both teams are going to try to do that tomorrow, and the better team will win.
There you go. I mean, there's so many aspects that are going to factor into a Game 7 win for either side. But I think a lot of those intangibles, if you will, those ultimately happen, I think, when you are playing with maximum aggression, when you are playing with maximum urgency, energy, like whatever word you want to use to describe the level of go, if you will, from the start to the finish. Those things happen when you are full go, right? Like you are pedal to the metal, maxed out. Those things don't happen for a team that is like cautiously tapping the brake.
100%. These teams are both so good, and the way they play collectively, how well they're coached, the depth. You don't always get this, and this has been such a great series. But it's not always a given that you get the two best teams at the end in any sport, right? I mean, obviously, sometimes the two best teams are both in the West or whatever, and any number of reasons over the course of a season. It feels pretty clear to me that these are the two best teams in the NBA, which an obvious statement, I guess, because they're Game 7 of the finals. But it's lived up to it. The series has had such massive shifts back and forth where it looks like the Thunder have been in control, then the Pacers, and it's like just back and forth. It's fitting that we get a Game 7. It's just been an awesome series. And, the way Mark Dagnall talks about the Pacers, the way Rick Carlisle talks about the Thunder, you could tell there's a lot of, mutual respect there. Both 100%. Coach to coach as well as just, team to team. They kind of see each other in a way. It's been an awesome series. It should have a great finish. I'd imagine it'll be competitive. We talked about that a little bit on the end zone, where most of these Game 7s have been close, single-digit final scores, most of them. It'll probably be that way again on Sunday. It'll be who can just kind of make the plays, likely late, in the fourth quarter to be the difference. And that team will be a champion. Like Mark Dagnall, the better team will win. I have no clue which of these two teams is the better team. I think it's the Thunder. But if the Pacers beat them 4 times out of 7, hard to argue that, right? So
that's right.
Here we go. One more game to decide it, and it'll be a blast. I can't wait to be there on Sunday. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, we're going to get there early. I'm expecting, like I said earlier, I'm expecting an iconic Thunder crowd. I'm expecting the atmosphere to just be thumping. I think there are going to be a lot of those goosebump moments. And for the Thunder, I think if they just do what they do when they're at home, for some reason, it's just nothing like what we saw, I think, for the majority of the minutes played at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. If they do what they do at the Paycom Center one more time in a winner-take-all championship setting where, legends will be made tomorrow, it's going to be a really fun night, and I think a statewide celebration into the early morning hours of Monday and probably into the week for that matter. So it should be a ton of fun. And I am anxiously awaiting tip-off of Game 7 tomorrow night.
Building.
All right.
Building in the state. You can feel it building.
My hand's already sweating, Josh. My hands are sweating. Let's do this. We are inching closer and closer. That is Josh Callaway. I am Colby Daniels. Oklahoma City Thunder, Indiana Pacers tied at 3 games apiece. Game 7 for it all. A championship will be awarded tomorrow night at the Paycom Center, and we will see you there.